is poppin'? It's your boy Young Burnt Toast, aka Young Burger Patty. Nobody wants beef. Now listen, man. We are nearing the arrival of Pokemon Sword and Shield. We have 9 more days to wait until we can play this glorious, glorious game. As we've all known for the last couple of days, there have been a ton of leaks pouring out, spilling out everywhere. There's no leaks in this video though, so don't be alarmed. If there were, I would have told you already. But there's no leaks in this video. But the game pretty much has leaked entirely. But the crazy part about that is there's so much content in this game. Pokemon themselves still have more things to tell us that we didn't know already. I was shocked. I didn't expect it. But Pokemon released a trailer today, and it showed a bunch of very convenient changes from previous games. And I'm really excited about it because now competitive Pokemon is going to be more accessible to the average user. The quality of life has greatly risen from previous games. A lot of really nice changes that I want to go over because this is a big deal. It's only a big deal because Pokemon has never really done this. It's been a long time coming. A lot of the things in Pokemon previously were very tedious and unnecessary, and it seems like they're cutting more of that stuff out and replacing it with new, more up-to-date stuff. And it excites me because they are listening in some capacity. Maybe not entirely, but they are listening to us in some capacity, and they're realizing a lot of these old-fashioned things, a lot of these old-fashioned tedious tasks that we would have to go through are not necessary, such as going to the Pokemon Center every time you want to switch a Pokemon, or EV training for hours and hours just to train your Pokemon up so that you can actually use it in competitive. They're removing stuff like that and trading it for more convenient things. So let's go through everything. The trailer was pretty short, but there is a good amount of information to go over just because they also update the website right after they drop a trailer every time, and that's what I usually read from. I read from the website and not just go straight over the trailer. So let's go to the website and let's see what they have to say on there. So the very first thing, as previously stated, is Pokemon boxes. You don't need to go all the way back to the Pokemon Center to switch Pokemon. You can do that whenever you want, pretty much wherever you want. There's a few exceptions to that. But I think this is an amazing change. This was in Pokemon Let's Go, and it was so great. Everybody loved it. Everybody hoped that they brought it back from Pokemon Let's Go, and they did. And it's a great idea, because why wouldn't you be able to do this? Why not? There's no reason for you not to be able to do it. It's just so much more convenient. You don't have to leave wherever you are to go switch your Pokemon out at a Pokemon Center. You can actually do that right where you're standing most of the time. The only exceptions it says on the Pokemon website are, you know, when you're doing a mission or you're in a Pokemon gym. It makes sense not to be able to do this in a Pokemon gym because you don't get to battle with 37 Pokemon in a gym. You get the 6 you came with, and that's it. But yeah, I saw a guy on Twitter saying, wow, you guys are just removing any difficulty from this game, aren't you? People confuse the word tedious with difficulty all the time when it comes to Pokemon, and it's really sad. There's nothing difficult about going to the Pokemon Center and switching your Pokemon. There's nothing difficult about that. It's an inconvenience. There's nothing difficult about training your Pokemon for hours. There's nothing difficult about that. It's just a tedious task that you have to do sometimes. Nobody wants to do it. It's not fun to do that. Well, people don't understand what tedious means. If I can stand where I am, trade my Pokemon out, and be good, why would I not want to do that? Why would I want to go all the way back to the Pokemon Center just to come all the way back to where I am because there was a problem with one of my Pokemon, or I wanted to go get a different Pokemon to train? This is way better. And I love this change. I really do. I'm all for quality of life upgrades when it comes to Pokemon because, as I said, they don't really do stuff like this a lot, but it seems like they've done a lot of it in this game, and I'm open arms for all of that stuff. Speaking of quality of life upgrades, autosave. Now, autosave is not the most necessary thing in the world because they pretty much ingrained into our minds in Pokemon that we should save often. But some people still don't save often. You know, mistakes happen. I might fall asleep without turning my Switch off, and I wake up and it's dead, and I just forgot to save, and I'm back in the first city or something because I didn't save the game. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong in RPGs because RPGs are 50, 60, 70, sometimes 100-hour games. So if I play for a long time, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing, and I forget to save, that could be all bad if I don't remember to save. But autosave cancels that out. Now you can actually turn it off, which is great. That gives you more control over where you save. That might actually be you know, a good thing depending on who's playing the game. Some people want a soft reset for things. Some people want to you know, play the game without saving so they don't overwrite a save file or something, or whatever the reason is. You can turn autosave on and off, and I think it's a great addition. Next, they actually talk about something that we knew already. This is not from a leak, but you know, the IGNs, the Eurogamers of the world, got the opportunity to play Pokemon a couple weeks back, and they reported on things that we're allowed to report on, and they reported that every Pokemon Center has a name raider, so that's great. Not sure why you need a name raider to change your own goddamn nickname. That doesn't make any sense. But at least he's around more, and that's way more convenient than going to a specific city and a specific building in that city. I hated doing that. Sometimes I would just hold the L and keep the nickname because I didn't want to go out of my way back to a city that I already went to. And he's not even in the Pokemon Center in most of the cities. He's in like some random house. So I can't go straight to his house. I have to actually go from the Pokemon Center to his house. And nobody wants to do that. So I'm not mad at this either. Next up, we have the competitive changes. And this is huge. Huge. Now let me tell you what, all right? Competitive Pokemon is very inaccessible. Now you wouldn't believe that unless you really thought about it. There is a lot you have to know to be able to battle properly. And the craziest part is, it's not just within battles. It starts way outside of battles. And that's the part that's the most inaccessible. Now let me explain myself. Take Street Fighter, for example. The most you'd have to do in Street Fighter is unlock characters, okay? Every stage is the same, so it doesn't matter where you play. But the most you'd have to do is unlock characters. But when you unlock those characters, the characters are there forever. The skill in the game is not obtaining these characters. I don't have to go create a Ryu from scratch. When I turn the game on, he's there. So I pick Ryu and I start playing. That's the game. Competitive Pokemon, you have to obtain a Pokemon. If that Pokemon's not as good as you would like it to be, you have to breed. You have to get the right nature. You have to get the right IVs. You have to train this Pokemon from level 1 to 100 now. Maybe not 100, depending on what format you're playing. But you still have to train that Pokemon. EVs, levels, and all of that. And then you have to do that 5 more times to get a solid team that you can use. Don't get me started on egg moves. Don't get me started on hidden power. Don't get me started on PP ups. Don't get me started on everything else you need to obtain a decent team. That's not the skill in battling. So it doesn't make any sense that you would have to go through all of that just to get to the competitive part of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's why there's a lot of controversy when it comes to hacking Pokemon in. A lot of people believe that hacking Pokemon in is bad just because you're quote unquote cheating. A lot of people think that hacking Pokemon in is perfectly fine because you don't actually have an advantage over anybody because the actual skill in the game is playing the game. You have to outplay your opponent regardless of how you get your Pokemon. But all that aside, they've made it easier to get these good Pokemon to actually play competitive Pokemon with. And I love it because it makes the game more accessible for everybody. Lil Timmy might actually stumble upon some competitive Pokemon, want to go make a team, and he's actually able to do it pretty easily now. Now, this isn't the first time they've made obtaining good Pokemon easier. Last generation, I'm pretty sure they introduced an item that lets you change your IVs. Every generation, they make breeding easier, and every generation, they make more convenient items and situations for you to actually obtain these good Pokemon. Every generation, they do it, but this time, I think they've really taken the cake. So the first thing they talk about are mints, a brand new item that allows you to change your Pokemon's quote-unquote nature. I say quote-unquote because it says on the Pokemon website that your Pokemon's nature itself won't change if you use a mint. But what it will do is basically shift the stats to mimic a nature, pretty much. So if your Pikachu is gentle and you give it a modest mint, its special attack will grow faster and its attack will grow slower, just like a modest Pokemon would. I'm very happy that they're doing this because they're making it more accessible. All I have to do to change my Pokemon's nature is give it an item. We're in there. I don't have to breed an entirely new Pikachu. I can just give it this modest mint and now he's modest in, you know, in spirit. He's not actually modest, he's still gentle, but he's modest. His stats reflect that he's a modest Pokemon now. I love it. I love it because it's just a time saver. Nobody wants to breed 700 eggs. Nobody wants to do it. Now this next one, I think this one is the biggest change. I think this one is really the biggest change. Special supplements have been changed. In previous generations of Pokemon, your special supplements, those are the calciums and the irons of the world, etc. You could only use 10 of them on a given Pokemon. So if you give your Gengar 10 calciums, his special attack is going to raise up. It's going to be the equivalent of 100 EVs because each calcium counts as 10 special attack EVs. But the thing about that is you could only give him 10 of them and it maxed out. You can't use more than 10 on Gengar because that's the limit they put on him. So you'd have to train for those extra 152 EVs you want to put in that special attack stat. Now you can actually give your Gengar 26 calciums and be done. And that shit is crazy. What? Bro, can we really talk about this? I don't have to EV train anymore. They took out EV training. Now EVs are still in the game, of course, but now I don't have to spend hours fighting the same goddamn Pokemon just to get these EVs. Pokerus? Fuck Pokerus. I got 26 calciums. I'm balling. What am I supposed to do with all this money anyways? Bro, do you know how much money you have at the end of Pokemon? You have like unlimited money and there's nothing to spend it on. Now I can just spend it on these damn calciums and raise my Gengar special attack all at once. And I don't have to EV train? Oh my god. It's just, little Timmy doesn't have to think about how he's gonna get this max level Gengar now. He just changes his nature with a modest mint, gets him 26 calciums, and he's good. Like, this is crazy. Because before, it's gonna take you at least 2 hours, 3 hours to train up a Pokemon from level 1 to where you actually want it to be. It's just the facts. Speaking of training, experience candies. Now these are not rare candies, okay? Rare candies make your Pokemon's level go up by 1. Experience candies give your Pokemon a whole bunch of experience, which means you could gain way more than 1 level depending on what level your Pokemon is. And that's amazing, because now you can get your Pokemon from level 1 to say, I'd say 80 with some experience candies, and then maybe rare candy it up the rest of the way, or you could just keep using these experience candies. It all depends on how much experience these things actually give. In the trailer, I'm pretty sure the guy gave his level 51 Zweilous an experience candy, and he grew 2 levels. So that's pretty cool. It's just the fact that if you give that same experience candy to a level 1 Pokemon, it's gonna gain like 20 something levels probably. And it's just so much better than training for hours and hours. It's incredible because you don't have to actually sit there for hours training in any way now. You don't have to. You got experience candies, you got unlimited supplements, you got mints, and you can literally have a perfect Pokemon. I'm sure the items from Gen 7, I don't remember what they're called, that let you change your IVs are in the game as well. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if they're in the game. They didn't say anything about it, but I don't see why it wouldn't be in the game. Last but certainly not least, I think this one might be the biggest one actually. This one might be the biggest one. So in previous games, if you wanted to pass an egg move between the same species, so for example, say I had a Staraptor, one with great stats, perfect stats even, perfect nature, EVs on point, just everything flawless, but he didn't have the right egg move because, you know, maybe I caught this Staraptor in the wild and he, you know, his stats were really good, but he's just missing Brave Bird, and if only this Staraptor had Brave Bird, it would be really strong. Say my friend, or, you know, I get another Staraptor somehow. This Staraptor has Brave Bird, but it's, you know, it's subpar stats. You know, its stats aren't anywhere near as good as my Staraptor without Brave Bird. You know, but it has the move that I'm looking for. Normally in that situation, you would have these two Pokemon breed, You would create an egg. The egg Pokemon would have Brave Bird, and he might take on the stats of the Staraptor with good stats. And if he didn't, I just make more and more eggs until my Staraptor baby had good stats and the egg move. Now, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you can pass an egg move between species without making an egg. It's crazy. It's crazy because the thing you would have to do before, putting these two in the daycare and making eggs and hatching them, checking their IVs. If the IVs aren't good enough, you have to make another egg. It takes a long time to do that stuff. It does. I can skip all of that if I have two Pokemon of the same species, one with the egg move and one without an egg move. I take them to the daycare, they fuck, and all of a sudden, my Staraptor without Brave Bird now has Brave Bird. Now I can use this Staraptor. His EVs, his IVs are perfect. Everything was perfect besides him having Brave Bird, but now he has it. That is incredible. It's crazy. There's no reason for people to be shied away from competitive Pokemon because we have the tools. We have all the tools we need, and I'm so happy about it because that's why I started doing YouTube in the first place. 10 years ago, I saw some people Pokemon battling on YouTube, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And it makes me really sad that it's pretty much died off as far as, well, it hasn't died off. Don't get me wrong. People still play the game. I'm just talking about as far as YouTube and how important people feel battling is. Back when I was on YouTube, like when I started, that's all people did. People took pride in being good at the game, being good at singles, but it's not like that anymore. It's really not like that anymore. The atmosphere on YouTube has changed a lot in regards to that. It's changed so much that a lot of people don't even play Pokemon on their consoles anymore. They just go on Showdown because the actual content creators don't really make that much content for battling anymore. Pretty much Joey and his people are the only people that do that nowadays. I would like to do it, but I haven't enjoyed Pokemon battling in a long time. I think I really will this generation. And when I really enjoy Pokemon this generation, I'm gonna wish I have more people to play, and they're making the game more accessible. So I have no complaints. Next up, they're telling us when we can actually meet Gigantamax Butterfree in a max raid. A lot of games do this. I don't know if you guys have played Pokemon Go or Pokemon Masters, but during certain times they have certain events that you can do called raids, and you beat the raids and you get stuff. And yes, it's common in a lot of RPGs or MOBAs, not MOBAs, MMORPGs or MMORPGs is what I meant to say. It's a common thing. So you can squad it with your team and go beat these raid battles. And what I like about it is that not only will I be able to make content out of it, certain Pokemon are only going to be available at certain times. So the cool part to me is that maybe Gigantamax Butterfree is not in the game at all until this max raid happens, and now he's available in the game, and now we can battle with him. So they're going to add Pokemon pretty much all the time. At least Gigantamax Pokemon. Certain Pokemon will only be available at certain times, and I think that's pretty cool. So the first time that's going to happen is right when the game drops. From Friday, November 15th until early January, we'll be able to encounter Gigantamax Butterfree more often in raid battles. And then, of course, from then on, they're going to have other Pokemon showing up. So I think that's really cool. And last but not least, we have the date of the very first online competition. I don't know if you guys remember, but before they announced that they're doing online competitions, and if you win enough of these, you can actually make it all the way to Worlds if you get enough points. So I think that's pretty cool. The first sign up is between November 15th and December 5th, and then the first competition is on December 6th. And it's a single battle format. I think you bring 6 and pick 3 to battle with. So I'm interested. I'm probably gonna do it. That's content. I'm gonna make as much content as I can of this game. I think it can go a really long way. I really want people to get into it too. I think this game is gonna be amazing, bro. Like, everybody was a little skeptical, but maybe not everybody. We wanted to be blown out of our shoes, but I think a lot of people were looking too deep into it. I think any Pokemon fan would enjoy this game regardless of what they think about it, just because this Pokemon game is looking like it's going to be the best as far as quality of life. A lot of the Pokemon look really great. It's just amazing. I think this is gonna be the one that actually gets me back into Pokemon really heavily. The last couple of years, I really didn't enjoy Pokemon too much. I see that they've actually gone out of their way to make things a lot better. Obviously, they could have done more, but I think I'm starting to see what they have done, and I'm starting to appreciate it a lot more now. Anyways, that's the video. Make sure you buy yourself a Pokemon Cypher shirt or hoodie. Got more merch coming soon. Pokemon Cypher is also coming soon. So yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. Go ahead and hit that like button, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll be back when there's more info. Goodbye.